This next video I filmed specifically for my fundraising campaign and future campaigns. It contains one extreme on that spectrum of all the different reasons for why I devote myself to inventing the world peace computer. How it's, by some perspectives, it's ultimately strictly motivated by mental illness, chronic mental illness, and there's in terms of all the blood, sweat, and tears that I have sacrificed in my adult life toward this progression, this is definitely, I think, the ugliest, and I say and assert a bunch of things that, like, from the perspective, those assertions are absolute. However, from the bird's eye view, the geosynchronous orbit view, I'm just speaking to a specific type of people, addressing a specific set of concerns and wonders, and they're all valid, but taken on their own, that's not the whole story. So this is one part of my narrative, and by filming this long-form video, I'm taking ownership of it and just trying to be real with people. It's like, I take this peace thing very seriously, and I have no illusions about what I'm doing, what I'm getting into, and like the kind of problems and difficulties I face, because I've been facing them for years. And so it's basically like the videos getting into, I think, one of the more compelling reasons why I approach people like friends and family and strangers, and I ask for money. And I'm very honest about the fact that this is literally the only thing I care about. World Peace Computer comes first, people come second. I have to do that, otherwise I neglect people. I use World Peace Computer to motivate myself, to connect with people and maintain relationships, because I think people come first, ultimately. It's dialectic, it's paradoxical, but yeah, I hesitate to post this video because my paranoid side worries that it might get me in trouble or blow up in my face in one way or another. So, enjoy. But yes, greetings. I come in computational peace. I come with one product, one just born of my peace process. I received a criticism the other day from a concerned inner circle world peace. They exclaimed, "Blair, your GoFundMe seems inappropriate. GoFundMe has people raising for cancer treatment and disaster relief and this and that serious cause. You sound tongue-in-cheek. It sounds disrespectful." Okay, well, maybe. But then again, maybe that's what this is all about. Humor me. Against my best inclinations, let me spend a moment to do what feels very inauthentic to me. But is it inauthentic? Maybe I'm just suffering from pride and insecurity. I'll take a moment to tell you exactly what this GoFundMe is all about. I suffer from chronic mental illness. If you talk around here, Anchortown, where I live, in some circles you may ask, "Do you know Blair?" And in those circles you will hear, like, Blair. "Oh, him? Oh yeah, the schizophrenic. I heard this and that about Blair. Gossip, and I heard he owns guns."
And this is generally very lot frustrating to me because I don't have schizophrenia. I have schizoaffective bipolar type with a few dual diagnosis cherry tops. And I am way more stable than you would probably ever be, at least if you were in my shoes without a world peace computer. So in some ways you can think of me as having a combination of schizophrenia and bipolar type 1. That's a pretty crude way of saying that's hand-waving something beyond normal comprehension for a layperson. If I had $1 for every time I've gone out of my way to explain how the diagnostic statistical manual works to a T-tip body, N-tip body, typo, perhaps I wouldn't need this fundraiser then. Perhaps I would have enough dollars. But yeah, why did I latch onto this world peace computer invention concept? Why, Blair? Why? I get that question a lot. It's a fatty. Ultimately, it's because I need my world peace computer to maintain what are, by most of your terms, well, they're absurdly high functioning performance. Not just if we were comparing light to light, but especially me to you if I were normal, especially considering my severe disadvantage as somebody experiencing chronic, bad mental illness. For me, it is a daily struggle, and I rely on the peace process maintained by my world peace computer moment by moment, period. And I also rely on medicine, therapy, transparency, sleep, exercise, socialization, religiously. But for me, it is my world peace computer that has made all the difference. And it is definitely a difference, like the life and death type, actually. Oh, and I always keep forgetting when I have this conversation with people, but there's this Alzheimer's in my family, right? And I saw that. It was not pretty. People like to joke about the endearing nature of those tolerable patterns or degeneratives tend to fall into in such a state. And people don't talk much about the intolerable patterns. I feel fragmented enough as a schizo. I have felt what it feels like to lose more than a moment in a moment. So maybe I'm just paranoid delusional, thinking that I'm going to get Alzheimer's. But it doesn't matter. For me, I work to make sure that my world peace computer will be capable of maintaining clerical cognitive function should I ever express degenerative disease. Maybe I'm being dramatic, or maybe I'm being deliberate. Maybe I'm being a prepper. Maybe I'm simply outlining 2 future compelling use cases for the quote-on fantastical world peace computer that I peddle. Maybe I'm working to paint the gestalt of that next $0 quadrillion market. I'll be honest, I absolutely hate the movie A Beautiful Mind. It was nice. It's like mental illness porn, but I hate it ultimately because the reality is that that's such a state of being. The character, the person with a chronic thought and mood disorder especially, it is a type of hell that most of you can only wonder about with your misinformed Hollywood, those notions of romanticized mental illness genius. That person with the illness, but also the gift. They have the gift, it's so beautiful. Reality, however, it's quite horrific and terrible compared to that bullshit. But you only really learn to smile like I do, to chill like I do, chill like I chill, to joke like I joke, be real like I real, if you learn at some point that ugliness is a necessary form of beauty too, I think, humanity. I sometimes wonder if there's even such a thing as beauty without that wretched, ugly, anti-space background to define it. So then we face the war problem. That's a different video, perhaps, not this video. No, I'll table that for now. But the reality is that people like me, well, we do not do well at all. That is, without some sort of proper support system, people actually in said system willing to help per impact, not just per intention, and those afflicted individuals happen to be lucky enough, those privileged enough to have accidentally fallen into living a life where they have a natural world peace computer. Though for them this might not be in a form that is standardized. It for them, there may be no peace process to speak of in an explicit sense, just that genius or that gift that the typicals, the end tips, normies ascribe to. I don't like to use the word normie because it's pejorative, but end tip is the neutral term, right? That sort of state of being, like that contraindicated success of the body with the sick person status, that our mental, like medical system ascribes to us individuals. And so I get really fucking tired of hearing people call me, like remarking a compliment, like extremely intelligent. They're like the scary smartest person that they know. So naturally creative. They're a beautiful mind. And we are clearly unaware of how blessed by privilege that I am. And perhaps I'm somebody so unusually articulate, despite my thinking and writing being wildly disorganized and fragmented, obviously, if you read it, etc. Alas, I am warmly vain, so I appreciate their recognition. But because the reality is, by sexy standard of the advertising dunk tank we drown in, like my mind is quite pure ugliness inside. That's the reality. It's not what the advertisements project, right? Like I am fragmented, scattered, I'm delusional, I'm paranoid, I'm grandiose, I'm megalomaniacal, I'm angry, I'm hateful. The thoughts, I think, before my installed filters and peace process units apply, they're generally disturbing, at least to those with scope and experience, those less than the experienced clinician or less than suffering alongside the afflicted family friend that has a mental illness. And the uncomfortable reality is, though, by my experience, if you and I were to compare statistical souls, like an extreme A-tip next to an N-tip type, well then you might discover that we are just both human, right? And that maybe you are a bit uglier inside than perhaps you would have liked to admit. Perhaps I'm a bit more beautiful inside than the stigmatizing narratives that our group mind likes to insist, even when I throw up, like I'm doing right now. And my realization is that, although I'm an extreme case by diagnosis and outlying outcome, the world peace computer is what makes me not like you think, like we would think. The world peace computer works for the general case, I believe. I believe the architecture applies equally well to the entire bell curve, this multi-dimensional disk. It's the singular unified spectrum that we call being human. And I conduct secret focus groups. I perform secret experiments. I immerse into the serious study of my solitude. I plant seeds into the lives of many, many subjects on the spectrum of that normal, the end tip, and I hear their self-reports. It's that like, so my confidence interval is high by my assertions. It's in an informed sense, though, a Bayesian sense, strictly. The only difficulty is that the secret sauce of the world peace computer, the universal peace's Wilder effectiveness, lies in the fact that it maintains peace per specification. That is, it is an explicit process, a process with a highly regular and consistent language. This, I believe, it's a consequence of the weak and strong form of the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. This, in part, is part of the linguistic work that I lean into, plus what I've dubbed the new economic peace thesis. Weak Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is basically that the language we use determines the way we think. The strong hypothesis is basically that the language we use ultimately determines the way our neural circuitry gets wired up over time. And the new economic peace thesis is basically that living in explicit terms of peace is a process. Well, this is most profitable, prosperous, however you choose to define your peace and your victory. So, where was I? I'll steer my directional rift beam back to process center now. I need money because I am severely mentally ill. I actually can't hold a job. I'm completely incapable of taking care of myself, by normal standards at least. I'm completely incapable of maintaining normal relationships. If you know me, you know me. I am that guy that you see in the corner, holding their crazy sign, but with not the luck of extreme privilege that I have. I strictly need to live my life to secure my economic livelihood in explicit terms of my relationship with the World Peace Computer Invention effort and the Time Machine for Peace social invention program. If you recognize that I am ill, if you respect my diagnosis, as in you are not insisting on being another stigmatizer, well then perhaps you know to respect the horrific nature of my being. If you insist then, quote, I want to do whatever I can to help you, Blair. You are suffering from a debilitating illness, Blair. Well then, you will actually help me. Bottom line, I need money. Now. Like $4,000. Now. Simple. I don't care how much you help. Just help if you claim to want to, right? I'm not sure what the minimum donation is for GoFundMe, but if you can't make that min, then at least just share this with your people who might have that ability. I'm gonna spread the word. I'm trying to invent the world peace computer here, like in a patternable template sense. Like, we're all struggling to make ends meet, and I am fighting for my life, actually. I understand that this presentation is potentially dangerous because I'm broadcasting on social media, and perhaps there are other people out there like me with my kind of illness, etc., who might try to directly pattern my ask here, but without having first invested that massive time and energy required to prototype, install a proper world peace computer in their world. That's a recipe for failure. But to pin any of their poor informed misgivings on me, I believe is stigmatizing my ask for financial support. If you are suffering from psychosis, chronic mental illness, you absolutely need to get on meds and therapy, stat. Get on state assistance, health insurance, whatever, definitely a stable job, ASAP, 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 at least, but not until then. Right here, this is just selfish and, I guess, vain, right? Like, I'm here for me right now. I need help for me. Another concern from the inner circle world, pieces in my universe, perhaps there are people out there who will fear me coming out like this. Fear me to the point of wishing to press me into doing harm to myself or actually do me physical harm themselves. And then there are those cultures, right? People who were witnessing a wrong without making any effort to intervene. is the same as doing said wrong itself. So do you approach a victim and just tell them their wrongness in those cases? No. Please don't you dare try telling me to stand down because you are worried. Worried I might indirectly do something that could get me or my people harmed. That is future victim blaming. And that is you making an active effort to say to me, like, that I would rather not lift an impact finger for you. I would rather just lift my virtue single intent finger to help you, to save myself time, energy, and heartache. So I speak so strongly because it took me 8 solid years to get to this point in my journey with chronic mental illness. 2016 was when I had my first proper psychotic episode, a break. It was bad. It was not horrific. It was pure terror. It was my first world war as a human. And fortunately, I was blessed with over 10 years engaged prior to 2016, coincidentally obsessed in serious indirect preparation for those solid 8 years of my proper world peace computer development. Well, shit. It was actually kind of started around 96, actually. Almost 3 decades of putting work in on a very specific contemplation, that contemplation becoming a very specific thesis, answering, how do we solve the world peace problem? Actually. The way we have been approaching things it's not working. Just look around. We need to establish a computational global peace system, and we need to do this by inventing and distributing world peace computers to treat peace as a strict process. It's piecewise continuous, evolutionary, it's computational, not peace as our beloved products. Yo, if the people like me can never find our proper peace the process, in this human universe, well then, I believe our instance of humans, at least, is definitely fucked. Just an observation, right? And please, I beg of you, recruit me to do that dirty work. For actually taking responsibility for helping with that. The computational global peace system, in terms of world peace computers. That's going to be a dirty affair. I am one of the spiders. I believe spiders are people too. And I believe we can save ourselves from the quote-unquote human nature that we so easily and cynically disregard as not worth tackling now. Yo, we gotta tackle it now. I'll get off the soapbox now. But yeah, this is a tale of mental illness. People like to insist that, Blair, yeah, you're capable of taking care of yourself. But even when I have a fully functioning operating world peace computer, it's nigh on impossible. Like, I have a really hard time to the point where, yeah, I can't hold down a job. I get crazy when I force myself into the wrong kind of box. And that's the status quo. So I've invented a way for myself to sustain outside of the box, living outside of the boxes. I'm an outer box kind of person. That's the Wilder-ness. And like, I could use your help at least getting established and on my feet outside of the boxes. So yeah, this is ultimately a mood and thought disorder called schizoaffective bipolar type. It's been rough. Stuff like the chemical dependency that does not help. And that's why I'm keen to promise, in addition to receiving funds on this platform or any fundraising campaign, it's like I'm not going to spend that money on the sin stuff. I'm going to spend it towards actually building the product and establishing those revenue streams and inventing the thing and setting, at least to start, me and my people up so that we have a template to pattern and go from there with, hopefully, ultimately, distributing to the entire bell curve, because honestly, it's like, this is not, you do not have to be like fucked up to benefit from something like a world peace computer. I'll also qualify, though, that I believe the most effective people out there, like spies, politicians, state leaders, I believe that they are like natural masters of the world peace computer, where it's like if we had a unifying language to network world peace computers, well, then perhaps we could like understand one another better. So on and so on, so forth, so forth. We'll see if I post this, because that was a little more inflammatory than the grandiose one that I opened up this campaign with. But thanks for listening. I appreciate it. And also thanks for contributing. We'll definitely be in touch if you do. Or if you don't, definitely. So, peace, man. Peace, woman. Peace, person. Peace.